Welcome everyone to the Things Around 8. In this video we will talk about a law approved in the United States Congress and Senate, which prohibits the president from unilaterally leaving NATO, a measure clearly designed for Donald Trump. Soon after the defeat of the Axis in World War II, Stalin quickly converted from an ally to an enemy. He began by refusing to liberate the newly occupied countries in Eastern Europe, deciding to keep them as vassal states of Soviet Russia, and then advancing with progressively more aggressive movements, which denounced its expansionist drive throughout the rest of Europe. In the second half of the 1940s, Stalin had more soldiers, armor and planes than all European countries combined. Therefore, the only way to stop Stalin would be through a great alliance that also included the United States. At the time, the only full nuclear power in the world, and which had already shown in Japan that it would not think twice before using them against a powerful adversary. And it was with this objective in mind that on April 4, 1949, NATO was born, an authentic military alliance that dictated, through its fifth article, that an attack against one member would be seen as an attack against all members. Throughout the Cold War, NATO fulfilled its role, dissuading the Soviet Union from attacking. And in fact, during the 42 years that NATO and the Soviet Union coexisted, at no time did Russia attack any member country of the alliance. In December 1991, when the Soviet Union imploded, the main reason for NATO's existence disappeared with it, leading many to defend the end of the alliance, claiming that it was an obsolete organization, oriented towards an era of confrontation between Europe and Russia, which no longer existed. However, despite everything, the alliance not only continued to exist, but also expanded, doubling its number of members, from 16 in 1991 to 32 now in 2024. An expansion that occurred for a single reason: the fear of Russia rising from the rubble of the bankrupt Soviet Union. It was this fear that led the three Baltic countries, former Soviet republics and Poland, to join NATO, with the same argument being used by countries that in the past were trapped in the Russian sphere of influence, such as Romania, Hungary and Bulgaria. And it was precisely in response to the feared rebirth of Russia as an aggressive and expansionist power that Finland and Sweden entered the alliance after the Russian invasion of Ukraine in 2022. With that invasion, Russia showed the world what its real intentions are, which was enough to make NATO come out of a state of true coma in which it had been since 2019, leading many countries to increase their investments in defense, as was the case of Poland, which since 2022 has more than doubled the percentage of its GDP invested in this important sector. However, despite the general increase in interest in defense, some countries insisted on keeping this investment low, as was the case of Germany, which during the administration of former President Trump invested, on average, just 1.5% of its GDP, leading to great tensions between the United States and several members of the alliance, with Trump demanding, in an increasingly incisive way, an urgent increase in European investments in the defense sector, with Trump even threatening to leave the United States of the alliance, a threat that, if fulfilled, would profoundly weaken NATO, which could pave the way for the advance of powerful adversaries like Russia. These threats from Trump raised a very important question at the time. The President of the United States could, if he really wanted to, withdraw the country from the alliance. It wouldn't exactly be easy, but Trump, if he wanted, could unilaterally leave NATO, even without the consent of Congress and the Senate. But despite all the threats, the United States did not leave the alliance. However, now in 2024, with Trump once again in the presidential race, the risk of unilateral withdrawal from NATO has returned with full force, leading the United States Congress, with a Republican majority, to pass a law that prohibits precisely this. Through this law, which was sanctioned by the Senate in December 2023, the President of the United States will only be able to remove the country from NATO if the request is approved by 2/3 of Congress and the Senate. In other words, it is not impossible, but it prevents Trump, or any other future president, from putting at risk the stability of Europe and, by extension, the entire world. Thank you very much for watching the video. And now I invite you to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel so we'll see you more often, and so you'll be up to date with everything that's happening.